So I'm joined today by Jerome Cushman of Hilane Kennels, just an absolute legend in our breed. Wrote the American book on the Affenpinscher, and we haven't seen Jerry in a while, and so I wanted to take this opportunity to just chat with him about his start in the breed. So tell me about, how did you start in Affenpinschers?
Well, I'll precurse this by saying I was really in Lhasa Apsos.
Really?
And Robert Sharp showed a number of great Lhasa Apsos. But then he came out with this little Affenpinscher.
Okay.
And I sort of really was attracted to it. His name was Champion El Kokagee's Kamehameha.
The Hawaiian litter.
The Hawaiian litter. And I sort of followed him around and said, if you ever breed this dog, I want a puppy out of this. I want an Affenpinscher. And he said, well, you know, we just got a bitch. Her name was Jojax, but she's not too good because her ears were cropped the wrong way. So instead of going, you know, the way you normally crop, they went this way. And so it was Jojax was not a looker. And so they bred Jojax, and he said, well, we have 3 puppies, but 2 of them are, the show quality ones are sold. The other one sleeps in the food dish. And I said, well, there's something wrong with him? How are his stifles? Because I knew that was an issue with all toy dogs.
Right.
And does he have 2 testicles? And he says, oh yeah. And he's fine, but he's a pet. And I said, how much? And he says, $250. I said, you know, I'll just try it because I don't have toy. I also had Silky Terriers at the time.
Okay.
So I had a couple of Silky Terriers, and I said, you know, I really am interested in the toy breeds and too much coat care on these Lhasas. And I said, you know, I want to sort of. So he says, well, you know, the woman who bred this litter lives right next door to you down in Geneva, New York, and I'm living in Victor, which is less than an hour away. And he says, yeah, she's got, and I think she has a litter. And so I went, met Ellen, joined the Kennel Club where she was also a member. We became very good friends, and she had just gotten a litter out of Posey, who was Kamehameha's litter mate.
Ah, okay.
Her name was Ili Ili Wahine.
I love it.
Ili Ili Wahine, and she bought another dog in and from I think Deer Run,
right?
And bred her to this dog, and they had these wonderful little puppies. Except the 3. Show dogs were already sold, but she has this one little pet. She says, because she survived, we call her Wonder Woman. And I said, Wunderdama. Perfect. And she says, yeah, $250. And I said, as a pet. And I said, I'll take her. So I took Wunderdama home, and I had, at that point, I'd already finished Tiny Tim. He finished the day that Kamehameha went best in show in upstate New York. And that was the first male Affenpinscher ever to win a best in show.
Wow. What year was that, Jerome? Do you remember?
78.
Okay.
Maybe 76.
Okay.
No, I think it was earlier. I think it was like 76.
Okay.
Something like that. But
In the 70s.
It's in the book.
It's in the book.
Yeah. it's in the
The book. Available still on Amazon.
Yeah, and other places, you know, because they've got them for. They have the used ones for sale too. Anyway, but so then I bred those 2 together, and one of the bitches out of that breeding I sold to Pat Dresser out in Ohio, and at 6 months old, Hilane's best bet of Dress Circle, or maybe it was Dress Circle of Hilane, best bet, won the toy group from the 6 to 9 month puppy class in Detroit, where the dog comes up out of the stage and is, you know, so it was like people, what? You know, Affenpinscher.
Here comes this scruffy urchin.
Yes, but they knew how to groom, and they did a great thing with the breed. So, and then I had a number of dogs out of that. There were 4 in the litter, and I gave one to my father, Mighty Mike, but you said that was before the strip men were out doing Mighty Mike things. But then there were some others.
Magic Mike.
Magic
Magic
Mike, yes, Magic Mike. So mine was Mighty Mike. Anyway, and so we had these really good puppies, and I just used. I called that little dog Tiny Tim.
Right.
Don't you ever call a dog a name after a limping or crippled person, because I was in the ring with his daughter and he was jumping and very anxious to get to me at a match. And you know how those little loops are on the top of the crate? And he jumped up and stuck his paw through that little thing. And he was hanging there, and some child came over and just pulled him out of there.
Oh my
Which
God.
ended his show career. I spent a few $1,000s at Cornell trying to replace that shoulder, getting it back, but that never stopped his breeding career. If you know the Affenpinscher.
Yes, they are prolific.
If there is a will, there's a way.
A fence, whatever.
And so, for some reason, people started saying, "Oh, you've got Affenpinschers," and it sort of started to spread. And I had some really interesting ones early on. We had friends in Rochester who had we have a boarding kennel, small, and some of our friends had boarded a black miniature Schnauzer, and it got old and died, and they saw the Affenpinschers playing out there, and they said, "My God, that's the breed that's behind the miniature Schnauzer."
Right.
I said, "Yes." And they said, "Well, we'd like to buy one." And I said, "Well, I knew they had some money so that they could support this whole thing." And I said, "I won't sell you any, but I will co-own them with you. And so you pay the show expenses. I won't charge you handling fees or anything like that, but you help me out on paying all the other stuff." And and I had a little bitch called I'll Be Jiggered. Champion Hilane's I'll Be Jiggered. And she won a couple of groups and a number of group placements, and bred her, and we just kept going. Then I did do a father-daughter breeding, and I got Lily Marlene.
Oh yes, I know that name.
This was Hilane's Lily Marlene. There was also a Lily Marlene from Wisconsin that I also owned after the lady died who had her. But Lily Marlene was the prettiest thing. And I was at a supported entry, and we had a German judge, and Alan showed Lily Marlene, and I had a little dog, and I don't even remember which one it was. But we won the supported entry with Lily Marlene, and the man from Germany just took the little dog up and held it around and said, "Affenpinscher."
Oh, that's awesome.
You know, I didn't even go best of opposite with the dog I thought was really good, but Lily Marlene then produced some really nice puppies, and so I think the most important thing about breeding is you don't have enemies. People who maybe talk bad about you or did something, they still have some bloodlines that you might need to use, because there are many, many options out there. And if you know what your line has, what the issues are. If you need a little more leg, then you need to go for a little more leg. And you know, and I remember at a specialty with Annie Rogers Clark, who was, you know, the woman of dogs.
Yes.
We still study her about poodles.
Yes.
But she looks at these little toys and she says, "I want the dogs bitchy and the bitches doggy." And she says, "Now what I mean by that is you want to put the type on with the dog and let that bitch have enough room in her to have some puppies. Because one of the problems is if you breed a big dog to a little bitch, you get a bitch that's going to have problems. And we know what that is in the Affenpinschers.
Right.
You know, one of my most extraordinary experiences was we had a veterinarian in our area, and she was 9 months pregnant, had a terrible cold, and I had a beautiful little bitch, and I don't right now remember her name, and she had a major litter in her. She got out 3. There was a major bunch still there, and she just gave up. And at 4 o'clock in the morning, I called this wonderful woman, and she says, "I'll meet you at 5 o'clock. I've got a cold," and so on. She did not put the bitch out. She did what they call a donut. She used Novocaine to put around where she was going to open her up, opened her up. The bitch just rolled back. She pulled out the tubes, opened them up, brought out the puppies. So I'm there wiping out. We had 7 puppies. We cleaned them all. I cleaned them up as she was sewing her back together and sewed her back together. And she naturally raised all of them. Now, I started, no matter what anybody says, I started the natural Affenpinscher.
Right.
I started it in America. And one of the reasons was I had some English friends who wanted some of my breeding. And they said, but they have to be natural.
Right.
And I said, well, we don't have that here, Now, I had just lost 2 absolutely gorgeous Affenpinscher dogs. It was a major cropper, but I invited my veterinarian there, and he monitored the anesthesia.
Right.
2 of them. One of the best ones in the litter died.
Oh, so
from
sad.
The anesthesia.
Yeah.
One other one, the same thing happened, but this was with a cropper.
Right.
They're illegal, and they were croppers, and they
Right.
And I also experienced. You bring that litter back from, and I had the wonderful nurse who did it, and she kept them awake and just donated with a Novocaine and cut them all, and you just held them and had food there for them, and they ate and so on. But still, shaking their heads, spattering the room in blood. It was just stupid.
Right.
And I reached in the whelping box. I said, I'm going to do a natural. I don't know what sex, and I don't know. All I'm going to do is this breeding. And I reached in with my head turned the other way, and I said, this one is going to be au naturel.
Wasn't there a Hilane's au naturel?
A little bitch.
Yes.
Hilane's au naturel.
Yes.
Finished. Nobody, the judges would look at it and they said, is this accepted? And I said, read the standard. And oh yeah, well, we'll, but she's so damn good, she's so damn nice. And so on and so on. Then I had another one that did the same thing, and then I got a group 3 from the puppy class.
Really?
Oh, I can't remember the judge's name. He's passed now, but he did it, and he put up that little bitch. So that was the first group placement on a all natural Affenpinscher. And I continued to breed, and just taking 2, then I did 3, then I said, well, if I can win with these natural ones, then I'll just not do it anymore, because I had already had people in England waiting for my breeding, and so.
Hold on just a moment. We're going to pause this for a second.